Welcome to the Sons of Liberty podcast, coming to you from the Liberty Tree Studio in San Antonio, Texas, where we discuss topics of the day, firearms, great food, and even better whiskey. Grab a drink, sit down with your host, the founding daddies, Mike Michalski and Kyle Grothus.
All right, man. Hey, this is Kyle here at the Sons of Liberty podcast, and with my guest co-host. Our contract said I could only do this with someone named Mike, so we have Mike Pridemore here.
Hey, how's it going?
He's been our customer for about 10 years, really good friend of me and Michalski, and great customer, buying guns, doing fun shit together for years. And our guest is our good friend, Chef Lance McWhorter.
What's up, everybody? Good to be here. I broke out the OG hat for the occasion.
Oh, shit.
That is the OG right there.
About as old as it gets.
I think that was black when we first got them.
It was, yeah. That was out of the first box of them.
Lance is also a longtime customer of ours and probably one of the more interesting people I know, man. You've done it all. I think in 2 different military services. You're a contractor. You are now a professional fisherman. You're a chef. You played in a rock band. I mean, what am I missing? Anything? Like, most interesting man in the world.
Something, or at least the one with the highest mileage.
You're up at, so your restaurant now is called Culture ETX. Did I get that right?
Correct. Culture ETX, like Culture East Texas. Yeah, just a little, I don't know, it's kind of like fine dining-y stuff, but really super laid back. It's got a cool little speakeasy in the back. Yeah, we're just coming up on our 5th birthday of the restaurant, which I can't believe.
Dude, I was coming back from Darcy and stopped in to eat about not even a year ago, about 6 months ago. It was amazing. That whatever you had some dish with bone marrow and little mushrooms and stuff. And that was amazing.
Meat butter.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it was so good. The speakeasy's awesome. I saw something you posted the other day that you got. It was like a rabbit or something that went missing.
Is what we call the speakeasy, and so it's kind of branded separately from the restaurant. You have to have a password to get in that we post up on the Plaid Rabbit social media pages. And you come into the restaurant, you tell the host the current passphrase, and then she'll take you back through this janitor's closet with the secret entrance into the speakeasy. And yeah, it's a cool little spot. We just kicked off happy hour. So that's what the posts that have been going around is we're doing kind of a happy hour 5 to 7 on all the days we're open. Oh, and yeah, just stacking bodies in there, getting them full of good food, good drinks. And it's one of those really kind of cool high-end craft cocktail joints. So there's all sorts of smoke and fire and everything going on when they're making drinks. It's a lot of fun. It's a cool little chill space.
Oh, but you serve food in the speakeasy also?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
no.
for sure. Yeah. Thanks to TABC, you have to basically be a restaurant to have a bar out here.
There you go.
Oh, really? I guess y'all lucky aren't. I mean, depending on the area of Texas, you're lucky you're not in a dry county or something like that. So,
Tyler was for many, many, many years. So it's nice to have it kind of moist.
No, I've been in there, man. Y'all's drinks are great. You had great bartenders. It was a lot of fun. Did y'all get the rabbit thing back? Y'all that rabbit bowl or whatever they got stolen?
No, we got and like I made in the post, it's usually always like the bougie white chicks that steal stuff. Usually nurses. Nurses are shady, I guess. But yeah, we'll always have. We've got so many cool like little knickknacks and statues, and man, people are always stealing that stuff. That was just one that was a gift, so it was kind of important, and it really made me mad that day. So I made a post about it.
We'll find a picture of it. We'll post a picture of it in the podcast. Maybe we'll get somebody that knows where it's at. Man, that sounds like about 10 years ago. Back when we used to do gun shows. So me and Mike and Dylan back then would go do gun shows, and like we didn't really have any inventory or anything, and we would have to pack up, like we'd keep Magpul stuff and rails and whatever else. So we just pack up all the shit we had in the shop and just take it to the gun show to try to make some, make a few $1,000s on a weekend, right? Well, that's when we finally started to grow a little bit, and like one of the last ones we did, we made a run of condoms. Just a swag.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It had the we'll find a picture of that too, but it had the safety selector on them. I swear after we put this out, everybody's going to want us to do it again. But they're like cheapo condoms. They were tiny. Like, I tried one. Didn't fit. But there's like safe and fire on it, right? And we had like a fish bowl of them at the gun show. Well, that was like our first viral post was somebody stole this fishbowl of condoms, and Mike posted on the internet. And we had, at that time, people from companies a lot bigger than us out there, hey, we'll put a reward in if somebody brings these condoms back and this, that, and the other. I mean, like all like dealers and other manufacturers and stuff getting on the bandwagon looking for the person that stole these fucking condoms. Never got them back, of course, but it was a pretty funny thing. Like it went for the size we were then. Like it went very. I mean, tens of thousands of people saw this post about these stupid condoms.
I think I still have one somewhere.
I might. I think there's some still. There's definitely some in the glass case downstairs. I mean, I wouldn't use one now, but
I mean, y'all would ship them.
yeah, we'd put them in guns. We'd put them in guns for a bit. They're just a fun little knick-knack thing we made. I'm sure we could do it again.
Don't.
Yeah, that would be definitely a blast from the past. I remember that very, very well. I mean, it's just, but I mean, I remember. I mean, it's kind of like my story and you guys' story is so intertwined in the early days.
Yeah.
That, remembering all those early posts and early incidents like that, and the early parties back behind the lumber shop, and just, it was a wild time, and I can't believe that it's been as long as it has been.
It was a wild time. You were making drones or something like that. Working with the company making drones. I don't know if we can talk about that. Whatever happened with all that, like out in Hondo or something like that at the time.
Yeah, that was one of my first contracting gigs. It was a company called Mission Technologies, and they were out there out of Hondo. And we had a proprietary, I mean, this is, years before the quadcopters and stuff like that came out. So these were actual fixed wing, we had electrical powered ones. We had gas powered ones were the main ones, different sensors on them. And then they were actually very cutting edge. They were manufactured in-house, and, our ground control systems were built by Swery out there in San Antonio. And what we did was we were developing a doctrine with the Army called P3I, which was kind of a catch the bomb maker kind of thing. Oh, okay. And we were putting it into practice down on the border. So we would go down and fly those aircraft, and we had ground tracking teams. That we were all trained up in, like the ancient arts of tracking people, and we were tied in with, I don't even know if they're still there anymore, but it was Tactical Tracking Operations School. And they were down there in, I think it's like Sierra Vista, Arizona. And so we kind of teamed up with those dudes, and we developed a really cool series of airplanes, and we were down there, basically utilizing this doctrine in identifying like kind of cartel movements and things like that. And we'd get to where we'd track them and push them and backstop them into BORTAC or Border Patrol guys. And it was pretty cool stuff. And then once it got put into place, we wound up moving over and started flying and it's all open source. You can look it up on the internet now. But we were doing flight operations on like the USS Florida and the USS Georgia, which were former ballistic missile submarines that have been converted to littoral combat, basically, like SEAL team delivery. Yeah,
cruise missile subs, yeah.
Yeah, and they changed out all the ICBMs into cruise missiles. And there's some images out there of us out there.
That's launching those cool.
Well, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I want to go on a submarine. That sounds awesome. I was in the Navy. I never get to go on a submarine though. I would have like to hang out for a little bit. I had friends that were stationed on submarines. I don't think I would have been on one full time because it sounded interesting.
It was definitely strange environment, and everything they say about the bubbleheads is true. They're just a bunch of just really strange people that live off of fart air and bad food. It's like it was a trip.
I had an 03 that was teaching us a class in A&M in college, and he had been like a linebacker for USC. And he was a submariner. So he was a jock submariner, which is a really bizarre combination. And he was probably one of the more interesting people I met. Because you have to be pretty sharp to. If this guy's watching this right now, he's gonna come whip my ass. But I can't even remember his name. But you got to be pretty sharp to be a submariner, and this guy wasn't. So I don't know how that all ended up working out. But they're interesting people, to say the least.
Like Judge Schmale said on the Caddyshack, the world needs ditch diggers too. Somebody's got to clean the toilets on the submarine, I guess.
I mean, that's a big toilet cleaner if he's a linebacker.
He was a great dude, man. He loved telling us stories of all the crazy shit that happened on the submarines, people going crazy and, them having to whip people's ass to get them in line and then get them off the boat. All sorts of people just lose their shit. And, he would tell some pretty interesting stories about it. So that was fun. But it would have been cool to go on one, but I don't think I would have wanted to live on one for 6 months. It doesn't sound fun.
A couple of days was enough for me.
That's a big boat too. There's a lot of room on those. Like, Fast Attack. Yeah, like, badass, man. So that's your fishing shop, right? Is that what I know you're a chef, so that's your fishing pro shop. What's it called? What's that called? I can't remember the name of your pro shop.
ETX Paddle Sports. So it last year. I had such a fishing problem that I needed to open up a tackle store. And if you hear, like, we just had a customer walk in and my guy's back there helping them. But yeah, just a cool little.
Dude, that's badass.
Fishing.
Oh, that's dope.
Kayaks, rigging, installation, things like that. But yeah, kayak fishing is something that I got into, when I first came home from contracting in Iraq, like 2013, I guess, is when I really, fired it up and got into kayak fishing. It's one of those things that, gave me a lot of peace and a lot of kind of, I don't know, something active to do that was exciting, but was still, really mellow at the same time, which was really helpful. I had kind of a tough transition coming home and going back to regular life. And, kayak fishing was just something that really got me into it. And, once the restaurant got up and going, I'd been kayak fishing for years at that point. And, I just started fishing tournaments, and the tournament scene is huge, so, now I'm doing the Bassmaster, the actual Bassmaster boat series. They have a kayak series too. So I'm doing the Bassmaster series, and I travel all around the country fishing tournaments. And I'm sitting right now, I think I'm sitting at 19th in the country.
Holy shit.
Taking off on that, getting ready to head to the Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania in a couple weeks. And yeah, we're cruising along. So it's like I've been building boats, and I always like creating and designing things, wiring stuff up, so I started building boats for people, and then it just kind of morphed into opening my own shop, so now I've got the restaurant, a pro fishing career, and a tackle and kayak shop.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw your pro staff. That's a pro staff's a big thing in our, in the gun world as well. I saw on your profile, your pro staff with about 10 companies, I guess, for rods, reels, different things.
Yeah, it's just, it's so expensive to get out there and travel around. And I mean, people, when you tell them about, fishing out of a kayak, they think of one of those, little lifetime kayaks that you see at Walmart or whatever for a couple $100. And it's definitely not the case. I mean, most of our, on the kind of pro circuit level, most of our kayaks are, probably about anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 when they're all rigged out.
Holy shit.
They're like miniature bass boats. I mean, we've got like my main fishing kayak is a Jackson Nar, which is the name of the old Viking ships. But it's the Jackson Nar. It's got a pedal drive because some of the series only allow human power. It also has an electric motor on the back with foot control steering. It's got, dual fish finders with live sonar and, power poles that spike it down to the ground. I mean, there's a lot to them. And, developing those relationships with sponsors, just like in the gun world, you really have to kind of flex that as much as you can and learn to provide and create content and drive sales. And we just wouldn't be able to do it without that. If I had to go out of pocket to build a $20,000 boat and, pay all my gas and entry fees and, travel around and all the tackle that you go through and the fishing line and fishing poles. And I mean, it's significant, so that's a whole side of it is the sponsorship side. And it's kind of tough for a lot of people to learn, but I just, when I was doing my fishing podcast, I would just always tell people, you're in sales, and no matter what you do, and you have to learn to be able to drive sales and present yourself as an actual product, and it takes a while to figure it all out, but it's definitely worth it in the long run, because those people that you work with will really make your life a lot easier.
I'm sure having a shop helps a little bit with that. And so if you had to say, like a big part of like what sponsorships and stuff in the gun world is obviously the gun is what we do. Mm-hmm. And then ammo. So what's the equivalent to ammo if you're fishing? Is it like the lure, the line, or beer?
Probably, yeah, lures, line, hooks, sinkers, life jackets, clothing. I mean, Striker Brands is a big sponsor of mine. They keep me in clothing and rain gear. And,
yeah. Listen, note to self, don't sell Lance the Wilderness Co. We're going to have a conversation about this later.
I saw that up though. The Wilderness Co. super cool. That should be a really good thing for you guys.
Yeah, dude, I'll send you some sun shirts. And I'm sure you can't use them in an actual tournament because we don't want to get Striker mad. But we'll send you out some sun shirts and stuff so you can check it out. They've got some really cool product. I think you bought some the other day, didn't you?
I got some. They're real nice.
You tried them out yet?
No, we haven't gone bow fishing them yet, but they stretch. They feel good.
Yeah, dude, I want to go bow fishing. I've only been bow fishing once, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a blast.
It brings the adrenaline back to fishing for me, so that's kind of how I got hooked on it. I
remember we went out. We had a guy here who's we don't do it too much anymore. We used to have interns that would come in to the shop for like 2 months as part from SDI, which is a gunsmithing school. And this guy came in and he liked bow fish. He's like, hey, you want to come out? I'll take you out. My treat. And the guy took it out. It had like a world record for, I can't remember if it was a carp or alligator gar or whatever it was. I think it was a carp. And so we went out with this guy and like we're pulling out of the marina, and it's me and Mike and this guy that's an intern and then the dude driving the boat. And he's like, have y'all ever been bow fishing before? And me and Mike were like, no. He's like, have y'all shot a bow? And we're like, yeah. He's like, all right, let's make sure you can hit something. There's a turtle over there. Make sure you can hit it. Mike turns around, like pulls a bow back and just swacks his turtle dead. And guy's like, yeah, we're good. Let's go. And we ended up having a good time. That was when I finally realized, and I've come to realize, that people hate beavers, weirdly enough. A very random fact I learned on that trip. But we don't have beavers that I know of down this south, but I guess near Lake Temple and stuff they have them, and they really hate beavers. You see them on cart.
Otters are like death to a fishing lake.
Yeah, they really do not. And like this guy was like, apparently like a beaver had like tried to kill his dog at one point, and he was like, if you see a beaver, fucking kill it. And I don't know if you're supposed to, but he was like, I don't care, just do it. But yeah, there's very, very really didn't like beavers. And I've met, gone up to Arkansas and stuff, same thing. They're like, if you see a beaver, just fucking shoot it. And I'm like, okay. Really, the cartoons lie to us. They're always talking about how cool, showing beavers and stuff on these cartoons, how cool they are in their little houses and their dams and shit. But no, apparently they're very mean.
Yeah, they're pretty. Like the alligators are the least worrisome thing. Like otters and beavers are the bad ones.
Otters too, man, they're so cute. No.
Yeah, and they're like I don't think I could bring myself to tap an otter, man. Like I don't think I could do it.
That's how you know that's some OG shit right there. Tap. He said, I'm going to tap an otter. That's why we get along.
Dude, I just steal all the otters and just take them, have like an otter refuge, man. I know they're mean, but they just look they just look fun. They're all fuzzy and soft and shit.
Oh yeah. You get out there and cruising around, have them start popping up and swimming around you. And I mean, they just scared every fish away, but they're super cool animals.
Oh, so they scare that makes sense. Okay, so they're like scaring the fish away. They're not like beavers. They're not trying to like murder your dog or anything. Okay.
No, they're just trying to eat all the fish.
Bastards. So when y'all doing this like kayak fishing, is it like in the ocean or is it on a lake or like where do y'all do this at?
Yeah, we do. I mean, they have different tournament series that are saltwater where they go out and they chase like speckled trout and redfish and stuff, and that's a lot of fun. But like Bassmaster is strictly either largemouth, spotted, or smallmouth bass, and it's on the same lakes that you see the big boat derbies on. I mean, this year alone we've done like Gunnersville in Alabama. I mean, we go out to Florida, Oklahoma. We just did the national championship on Lake Tenkiller in Oklahoma. Like I said, we do some river systems, which are cool. But yeah, mostly it's just big lakes. We've done Toledo Bend, Lake Fork this year. A bunch.
So everyone on this is going to learn a lot about fishing because I don't know shit about fishing. So I'm going to ask a bunch of dumb questions. So like, do y'all keep the fish or like catch and release or eat them or what?
It's called CPR. It's catch, photo, release. So we have these like gradiated boards that are a specific manufacturer. It's the only one that's allowed by the trails. So you have to have this board. It's inspected by a tournament director. to make sure that it hasn't been altered in any way. And then we have an app on the phone, an identifier card that's given to you the night before that has a specific, alphanumerical.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So that has to be visible in the picture. There's a whole lot of rules about how the fish is facing, mouth closed, tail down, body not bent. I mean, it's pretty involved on the rules. And then you just take a picture of it on the board and upload it to the tournament app. It's called TourneyX. And then we go off of our longest 5 fish. So where most boat tournaments, they go do the weigh in, they hold the fish up in the air on the stands. And ours is all virtual, I guess you would say. So it's, we go out there and the longest stringer of 5 fish wins. And and on the national level, the prizes are huge now. I mean, on the average, a national tournament is going to pay, usually anywhere from $10,000 to $14,000 for first place.
Wow.
National championships pay anywhere from like $25,000 to $40,000 for first, and and then the money trickles back from there.
That's awesome.
It's a good payday.
Yeah.
It's very it's growing more and more, and those paydays are getting bigger. Plus the sponsor, both fishing related and non-endemics, things like that. Are really making it to where you could make a living off of kayak fishing. Now there's a few people that are really just absolutely tearing it apart and are making a really good living doing it now.
Does a Bassmaster, like the boat side of it, the big boat side of it, pay more? I'm guessing.
Yeah, they've got the boat series and then they've got the kayak series, and it's it's pretty cool. And I mean, I kind of like the conservation aspect of kayak fishing too. It's not real invasive to the environment. You don't have a bunch of oil and fuel and exhaust and noise. It's they're very stealthy, they're very quiet, and plus, if I catch a 6-pound female bass and she's spawning on a bed, that fish is back in the water in 45 seconds, as opposed to a boat tournament where you're taking her off the bed, put her in a live well, and then drive around all day long, and then drag her up on stage to get her picture taken, and then she gets dumped back in the lake right there, 20 miles away from where she started. There's a pretty high, especially in the summertime months, there's a pretty high mortality rate for bass when they get in a live well. So we kind of avoid all that.
Man, that's got to be part of like the skill right there, is getting a picture of a fish in 45 seconds. I'm imagining that in my head, like trying to like fight it, like stand still, motherfucker, close your mouth.
Especially you get kind of the southeast area, and you get a lot of spotted bass, and they're just kind of crazy. I've got some videos laying around of them, shooting off the board when you're trying to into the water. There was one video I posted last year. It was on Possum Kingdom, big tournament. And like first thing in the morning, I had I think it was like a 21.5-inch bass, which is a good fish. And I had it on video, me going to take the picture, and that fish just squirted right off the board and right in between the graphs and into the water. And you could just see me do the, oh my God, what just happened,
I mean, are you allowed to like give like a little tap with like an okie dokie stick, keep like a nightstick behind your seat, just like, all right, here you go.
I mean, I've never heard of anybody even mentioning that, Kyle. So, I mean, I would say that there's probably some sort of ethical argument there.
This is why I don't fish.
You said ethical and Kyle in the same statement, so.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, this is why I hunt. You've already heard my hunting stories, so yeah, there's no. I'd totally be no fishing. I have fished. I enjoy fishing. I've never like tried to get good at. It's not something I've ever put effort into. I would hope if I tried, I'd be decent at it. But it is fun. I like fishing on the ocean because I was in the Navy for a bit, so I do like being out on the water. I think being on the water would be the most fun part, even if I never caught a fish.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, and I really I fished out of boats for years and years, but, fishing out of the kayak, it's just, like I said, it's so peaceful. But then next thing you know, you have, a gigantic largemouth bass blow up on a topwater bait, 20 feet away from you, and then the fight's on. And I mean, you're sitting on your butt, like, a foot off the water, and it's just everything's madness. For
Dude,
a second,
what kind of bait are you using that they blow up? That's even worse than the stick.
Well, like blowing up on the surface.
I know.
Like
I'm just I'm fucking with you.
Frogs or walking baits, things like that, where the fish are oriented feeding up. They'll just, when they hit it, they'll just explode the surface.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Dude, I'm about to watch this. I'm assuming you got some videos and stuff on your page. I'm about to watch some of this. It sounds like fun.
On my fishing page, there's quite a few. It's just Lance_McWhorter_fishing, and that's on Instagram. And I post a lot of fishing content on that one. Then I have the chef_Lance_McWhorter page. That's all my cooking, and that page is a little more like kind of my personal, rambling, going off on the tangents that I often go on in my quest to be some sort of philosophical type, trying to get cool to each other,
Yeah. Everybody go follow Lance, especially. I mean, his fishing page, his chef page. I mean, your food is amazing. So who cooked? So when you're gone fishing, who's cooking? Is Bailey there cooking, or you got a sous chef, or?
The wife's there running it. Bailey's my wife. Man, her background, she is a very well-known, well-respected, and one of the very few female barbecue pit masters. And she, really made a name for herself running some really cool joints. And then when we opened the restaurant really started taking off. And now she just kind of fills in when I'm not around, or like today we had, she had to go in and cover for lunch because I'm getting ready for an outdoor expo that's going on this week. So she's kind of covering in there when we've got a slot to fill. And I mean, she's just so super talented and just works her ass off. So, I could do absolutely nothing in the world if it was not for her. Oh
yeah. I mean, all a great team. Y'all been together almost as long as I've known you. I mean, it's been 7-8 years, something like that. It's been a while.
8, yeah. I was going to say, together with San Antonio.
Yeah. It was, after, a calamity of a life before that, it was nice too. And she was actually introduced to me by one of my triple canopy teammates over there in Iraq. He lined us up and he's like, you two will just be best friends. And he was absolutely right. It's probably the only thing that guy's been right about. Love you, Drew.
I was gonna say, was it T-Vets? I feel like T-Vets had something to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like the guy that introduced me and Mike. Yeah. That's about the only good thing he ever did for us, but hey, it worked out.
I love Drew. He's a wild dude, man. But yeah, I mean, back in T-Vets and, God, what was before that? Nigeria and all those old, like Facebook groups.
Yeah,
I know Drew. I know y'all are talking about. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Drew was when we took the PKM to the ranch.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you seen him lately?
I have not. Last time I saw him, he was out there.
He's got a little Post Malone thing going these days. He's got some curly hair on the top of his head, looking a little rough around the edges.
I love it.
Yeah, that's what I remember. It's been a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, Drew is. I mean, we had that big. Scotty and Mikey Paez and a bunch of the people were up at my restaurant that I had up in Bandera there when I first started cooking, and some cat came walking in wearing like an old Army PT shirt, and the dude couldn't have been 19 years old, and me and Drew were like kind of the some of the last ones left, and I guess this dude was dating one of my servers. And he just walks by and looks at Drew, and Drew looks him up and down. Like, I mean, Drew's like this tall, but just an absolute madman. And this dude just, I don't know, gave Drew the side eye or something. And he's like, what the fuck's up with this guy? And so he goes in and we're grabbing, an after hours drink at the bar, and the guy's in there with the server. And so, I just knew Drew was going to say something, and he looks at this kid and he goes, nice shirt, and, he goes, where'd you get it? He goes, boot camp. And he goes, where'd you go to boot camp? And I'm just like, this kid didn't. And the kid goes, Hawaii. And then I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, no. Stop. And so Drew loses his shit. He's about to kill this kid. And I run around the bar and I look at this kid and I go, hey man, look, I know you don't know me. I don't know you, but you just fucked up. Like, literally the only thing between you and an absolute ass whipping is me. And if you knew me, that's not a good position to be in, like if I'm your saving grace, like, man, you're in trouble, And the dude tells me, I don't remember what he said, but I was like, dude, look, I'm going to give you one more chance. You need to get out of here. And the guy goes, fuck you. And I slapped the shit out of him so hard in the side of the face, and his hat flew off his head, and his head turned, and it landed back on his head. And he turned around and looked at me. Drew tears his shirt off. Like, oh my God, it was crazy. But Bailey still says that Drew telling her that story is why she agreed to go out with me the first time. Drew's like, he slapped a grown ass man twice.
I think that's how he described you to me. Also, is with the slap. He's like, you know him from contracting, and I'm like, no. And he's like, he slapped this dude, and I was like, okay, maybe I do know him then.
Oh, so funny. Yeah, but no, he's a wild dude, man, and you know, like a lot of us, has gone through so many crazy times in life, and but you know, all those stories seem to come back. You know, so many of them seem to surround, you know, the Sons of Liberty crew. You know, they're always kind of around. And
dude, last time I saw Drew, he was talking about wanting to like go build missiles or something, and then he's talking about like kidnapping some detective as like a training operation for money. It was some crazy ass story. Like, that doesn't sound like a good. None of that sounds like a good idea at all.
he was building some software. Is the last thing I remember.
Oh,
some missile tracking software.
Body armor, missiles. Yeah, it was all sorts of crazy stuff. And he was looking for investors. I'm like, we're busy building guns. I mean, it sounds cool.
Yeah. The guns, man, I need to get out and do some shooting. I haven't done that in a minute. My old trusty OG Sons of Liberty needs some love. But it's still running strong, man. Thousands and thousands and thousands and years of rounds, and years later, you know, it's I think my serial number is 1776-00057 or 58.
Yeah, you've got one of the first batch of guns here.
We were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, I think
that SBR with the silencer cocaine, and man, that thing is awesome.
You probably got an Omega, I guess, back then. Yeah, that, dude. There's still a bunch of, every now and then we'll get one of those like old guns that like went to a police department or something coming in for repair work, or we had a bunch that went out as machine gun rentals and stuff for ranges, and they'll come in just beat to shit after like 10 years, and we get to clean them up and rebuild them and stuff, and that's always fun seeing. I mean, it's a testament to the product. I mean, none of those guns ever come in here because they all work. You know, they're still working 10 years later, kicking ass. So, you know, we don't see them a lot. I mean, even my guns, I've got a couple that are older. I've had to rebuild most of mine because if I go to demos, I got to bring new stuff. But I keep a few of the older ones. But seeing them come back in, I think the one we had come recently was from Lone Star Handgun here in town. And I don't even want to know how many rounds that gun had on it. Like, the bullets were just coming out and just falling. You know, there's nothing. It was a musket. I mean, they shot. It was a full auto demo gun. I mean, they must have shot the shit out of that thing. And all it really needed, you know, gas rings and a new barrel, and needed to be cleaned up, new action spring. I mean, didn't need a whole lot, you know. And that's something our warranty covers, is swapping barrels. And we want. That's why people ask, like, why do y'all do that? It's like, we want people to go shoot them. Yeah. You know, like, that's something if you're shooting your gun enough where I've got to give you a new barrel, like, you've sold enough guns for me at the range to cover that barrel and then some. So that's always been a big part of our warranty since the beginning. And you would think we'd switch more barrels out, but they last a long time, and people don't shoot as much as they say they do.
I mean, I remember 2014, Mahowski gave me my first rifle and was like, break it. I want you to break this.
Yeah, y'all both got guns too that were probably built while somebody was drunk too. I mean, that was the original days, you know.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I got drunk while my gun was being built at that time.
Yeah. A testament to the quality of the weapon.
And then I drank out of a guy's leg while I was standing there. It was an adventure.
Oh, it has Scotty's leg.
Same leg. Yeah.
Pretty much.
My stomach's not as strong as y'all's, dude. Just thinking about that, like leg cheese and whatever y'all.
Well, I mean, speaking of that guy, when we left the ranch that one time, we all went out there for Drew's event, and we had the PKM. I'm driving home, and I got the Australian in the passenger seat and the PKM in the trunk, and I'm like, oh, all right, here we are. Like, how did my life do this?
Like, how did I get into Blood Diamond?
I went
what's
from private jets and low pro to this.
Yeah, there's nothing low pro about a PKM.
Man, that's like it's funny to like think about those dudes and kind of like the early days of Sons of Liberty, and kind of grew was, I remember, I was, fresh home from contracting, and that was, the whole vet bro scene was huge. And I wound up kind of being right in the middle of all of it during those days. And I was tied in with T-Bach, which was the old beards back in the day.
I was about to ask you about that. It's like the tactical beard operators, whatever it was. Is that still around?
Worldwide? Nah, it's kind of fallen off, but there's still a ton of us that, stay in contact, constant communication, and are just lifelong friends. But it started, Mike hit me up because I was the VP of a motorcycle club that was called Sons of Liberty. And he just randomly hit me up about doing something together. I'd love to do something if you're doing an event or a charity or whatever. So we lined you guys up with the guys that did Frogs for Freedom.
Yeah.
Up there in Bandera.
Pete, yeah, man.
And all those dudes. And so through that, I met you, Kyle, and then, and Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so Scott and Mikey Paez came from that initial meeting with me and you guys, because they were the beard homies, and they were both looking into getting into it. And it kind of all grew off of that. Like that early crew just kind of grew up off of Mike hitting me up about doing an event with the motorcycle club. And it was cool to watch, all the homies get together and just build this really cool thing. And it was kind of like, man, I'm really glad that I, was in that motorcycle club at that time. Or it's like, think of how, how the different the story would be if there was no, Scotty, and there was no Mikey Paez, and there, all these things that kind of were there in the early days. It's pretty cool, man. It's funny how the world works and how things grow.
Is Frogs for Freedom still happening? We kept giving a gun every year to him, and I don't know if it kept happening. I mean, our connection to that was Pete, and Pete's gotten older, and I don't know if we've.
A lot of the dudes have started to die off, like Pete and Doc, and or they're just getting too old to mess around with it. But Mama Dietz was always out there every year. Danny Dietz's mom, and it's just it was a really cool event.
It was an awesome event. Yeah.
Spitzak's still a part of it, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah, but he lives down on the border. He lives down in Brownsville or something now. Yeah, they never let me be part of T-Bach because this is the longest my beard can get. They told me I could be in the Asian chapter, but I was like, no, I'm good.
Right.
I just got tired of eating mine, so I had to at least trim it to where there wasn't food left in it anymore.
Yeah, my chapter came with Rogaine. No.
It was a whole and there's that when there's those pictures, I think I shared them up a couple of days ago with the old beard, the era of shooting TV shows with Nick Irving and
oh yeah,
super beard, and that was a lot of hassles.
If you had your old beard, the frame would have to be longer. It would have been off the frame. You'd have to stand up all the way to.
Well, he ain't short either. So.
Yeah, it was just there's a lot of upkeep in that. Like I said, you fall asleep drunk on your face and you wake up and your beard's like this. It takes a lot of work to get that straightened back out.
Yeah.
Dude, we had some serious beards here at the shop for a while. We got a couple still, but man, Scotty, who else? Mikey had one going for a while. Old Mike Blackgrave would be. We had some serious beards around the shop there for a while. I mean, it's probably a fire hazard, but yeah.
He's doing good. Blackgrave's good. Have you seen him?
Yeah, no, dude, he's lost
he's fit.
He's half the man he used to be. I wouldn't cross him before, but I definitely wouldn't cross him now.
Yeah, that dude, he's doing his own training event now and all that.
I've got at least one embarrassing story about Mike Blackgrave, but we won't talk about the time that.
No, he asked to work for me a long time ago, and I was like, I don't know if my insurance will cover you, bro. I don't know if I want to put my name on that, man. We go somewhere, do something shady, he's in, but as far as my insurance.
We had a party. We had I think it was the election night party when Trump got elected, and I came in the next morning, and crazy shit happened at those old parties. And I came in, and there's blood all over the floor. I'm like, what the fuck happened here? And someone had made a little, peak war on terror, little Haji piñata, homemade piñata. I guess nobody had hit it, and so he's the knife guy, so he started stabbing it, and then stabbed all the way through it, and got himself right here. And I was like, where the fuck did all this blood come from? They're like, Mike Blackgrave. I was like, oh shit, is he okay? Did his finger get cut off? The fuck happened?
Is that when you had the mini Trump and the golf and the?
Oh yeah, we're gonna try to do that again this year. We had a Trump midget at our 2016 election night party, and that's why Trump won. We didn't do it in 2020, and here we are. So,
but you got to put him back in the shopping cart.
We do. And my midget connection, I can't. His number, I tried calling him. He was in my phone as Midget Broker. He was out of Austin, and I tried calling him, and he's not in business anymore. So I need to figure that out. We wanted to get a Hillary one too, but back then we were a lot smaller and.
They're expensive.
They're expensive. Yeah, he was like, oh, the female ones are like twice. I guess they think you're going to fuck them. I don't know. But they're like twice as much as a male midget. This dude was awesome. Like, he was super cool. Like, we were like, hey, man, come in like your power suit. And he came dressed like a waiter. And we're like, all right, well, we got him a wig. Got him a blonde wig. I mean, it was, we'll find a picture. I'm going to send him a picture, Carlos a picture, and we're going to put it up. We wanted a Hillary one too, and that just didn't pan out. Maybe this year we'll get a Biden one. We got to find I don't know if they live that long. I don't know if we're going to find an 80-year-old midget.
Yeah, we're going to find a vegetable staple.
I'm not even going to say anything on that. I'm just going to sit here quietly and smile.
So I'm going to start. If anybody knows a good midget broker, you let me know.
I mean, small community.
It is.
Well played, sir. Well played.
This one said he did. We asked him, and we'll post a picture. You see what we're talking about. We were like, what do you do when you're not making appearances? And without skipping a beat, he said porn. And
oh,
we
my God.
And he was not, I mean, I'm sorry if you're listening, but not the most attractive midget. And we were like, he's got to have like 3 legs. We're like, well, how is this even possible? Who's paying him to do this?
You think of Orgasmo when they do the stunt cock guy. They're like, and like he's a black dude, and the Joe Hung is a white dude, and he's like, oh, don't you think people are going to notice? He's like, nah, nobody looks at those.
Or maybe he wears a mask. Maybe he's like one of those, the Mexican, they do like the midget wrestling, but it's porn.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't know. I've never watched midget porn, so.
Yeah, hard pass.
That's probably surprising, but yeah, no, never.
I mean, I was in the military and I've seen a whole lot of weird shit, but midget porn was never on the list.
Dude, Huxworks at SHOT Show had midget wrestling at their party. I missed it. I walked in like right as it was ending, and they were taking pictures. But like they had actual midget wrestling at their SHOT Show party, which is awesome. Those guys, that was a pretty awesome party. That was the only time because the Trumps are all over SHOT Show. They're usually there. Donald even shows up certain places, but that was the only place I saw Trump Jr. was at the Hux party. They had rented like a whole old hotel that I guess used to be like a whorehouse or something. It was pretty epic. It was an awesome party.
That's the most SHOT Show thing ever.
Yeah, dude. There's some really cool SHOT Show parties. If anybody goes to SHOT, our Monday night party is one of the chillest, best parties there is. But that Hux party was pretty badass. I mean, it was awesome. So, although I'm still sad I missed the midget wrestling.
You sure you haven't watched midget porn?
I haven't, surprisingly. I have hired a midget more than once for different events. We hired a midget stripper here one time.
I remember that. That was somebody's retirement, right?
Yeah. They couldn't get out of here fast enough after that. All right, well, we got to change topics here. I don't think we can talk about midgets for another half an hour, but
I mean, we could, but it wouldn't go well.
Be the longest episode about the shortest people.
Right.
So I totally forgot about this till he reminded me that speaking of being on TV, you were on Chopped at one point. So tell me about that. Like, I don't think I've ever asked you about that.
Yeah. Dude, Chopped was cool. It's, I was kind of at the tail end of I did this kind of learning cycle. Like, I'd been running restaurants for a couple of years, and I was like, I haven't learned enough. So I went to Dallas and was working for some, those crazy type chefs that you see on like The Bear and things like that. And I was really just starting to get good at what I was doing. So I had the opportunity to apply for Chopped, and I was kind of like, I wasn't really going to do it. I was like, I don't want to be a game show chef. Like, I want to be a real chef, and Bailey told me, she's like, look, you're always advocating for veterans to cook, to pursue culinary careers. And she's like, what better way to, what better channel to get that message across? So I was like, all right, yeah, you're absolutely right. So applied, they just dug me. I don't know. They through all the interview processes, everything like that, it seemed like it happened really quick. And next thing you know, I was in New York, filming an episode, and it was really cool. I figured there'd be some sort of TV magic or something like that, cut, whatever. But no, when Ted Allen starts that clock, like, it does not stop. It doesn't stop for anything. And it's a legit, like, real cooking show. And it was really difficult. I mean, because cramped space, you don't know where anything is, you don't know how a lot of their particular equipment works. But I mean, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was tough. It was definitely one of the more difficult, challenging days that I've ever had in my life. But it was strange in the fact where, like, they have you meet in front of this McDonald's in Harlem, like, at like 5:30 in the morning. And it's like, New York, that city's still going at 5:30 in the morning. So there's some weird shit going along and all of a sudden there's like, 4 chefs out there with knife rolls, like standing around and like, okay, well, and then some lady comes walking around the corner. All right, guys, follow me, and then walks you up around the corner, a few blocks up. And then you go into some nondescript brick building and walk in the back door of it, go up some stairs. And then next thing you know, you just see 2x4s and plywood, and you walk in, and then you're like, oh my God, this is it, and you recognize that kitchen that you've seen so many times, and you see how it's built. It's all just a facade, and there's little cubby holes and stuff for cameramen and to slide in and get different angles. And yeah, it was really cool. And I mean, obviously the better you do, the longer your day is. And I mean, I was there. I mean, I think we got to the studio at probably 6 in the morning, 6:15. And I mean, I think I left at like 9:30, 9:45 at night.
It's a long day of cooking.
Yeah, it was nuts, but and there was a lot of it sitting around, just sitting around waiting while they reset and clean the kitchen and, put the new baskets together. And yeah, but it was cool. I think the message came across really good. I was telling a lot of my story about, cooking and coming home, transitioning from Iraq. And man, actually, I made Alex Guarnaschelli cry. I don't remember if that made it on the final episode or not, but yeah, it was the point definitely got driven home that cooking is a really good avenue for veterans to jump into. So I'd say I didn't win it. I came in well. I'll say I came in second since we're already there. So I got chopped in the dessert round. And everybody that watched it said that they're like, you should have won, but
I think you should have won. Man, both my 2 good friends are chefs. You and Tim Donovan are both veterans, yeah. And I think that's awesome. Like, you used it for good. Yeah. Not just your own.
Very early mentors when I was first starting to cook, and he's a phenomenal chef who's moved on to greener pastures for sure. I mean, he's like that dude's got the world's best job right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he had a young family and was just kind of looking for a little more stability and better hours. So I caught him right on the tail end of his restaurant years. So, and he was kind of moving out of that. So I feel like he was really willing to come up and spend a lot of time and teach me some really cool things that I don't think I would have learned as fast as I did without him around. So I owe a lot of love. And I mean, I still talk with Tim all the time.
Yeah, he's constantly giving me shit on Facebook when I post my home cooking adventures. He loves giving me crap. So
yeah, well, he still does that to me. 10 years later on posts about my restaurant.
Hey, we'll have to get Tim on sometime. Tim's an awesome dude. He does have a great job working for HEB. I mean, that is a dream job. Speaking of Bear, I really want to get. I'm going to get Hulu, re-up Hulu just to watch that show. It looks fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they did really good with it. It's I always watch stuff like that. It's like going back and watching a military movie or something like that, and all the training and everything that we went through and experiences that we had. It's like going and watching a military movie and going, nah, that's not how that works, But the Bear it's really good, and I mean, it really taps into it. Like they make that stress that you feel day to day as a restaurant owner. You just palpable, I mean, it's like you can feel it with them. So it makes it kind of difficult for people who cook at a high level to watch, because it's kind of like, we're not able to really relax. It's like, it's kind of like, it's kind of the opposite of what TV is supposed to be for, is, kind of unwind. It just kind of winds you up and stresses you out a little bit. And, but it's kind of cool to watch it from the third person and have them, really representing what you do well, when, most movies are just turds, like Burnt was terrible, it's so completely unrealistic. And I mean, it was like watching an okay war movie, it's kind of that same kind of vibe. But the Bear, they really tapped into the personal side of it. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize, because people are really trained by these, like corporate joints and chain joints, or I call them Instagram restaurants, where it's like, some kid wanted to be, a restaurateur or whatever. So daddy spent $6 million on a beautiful restaurant, but it has no soul. It has no bones. It's a good spot to go take selfies or, see and be seen. But, the food is largely just very ordinary. And I think that kind of the American palate is kind of dumbed down by those things, So when people see shows like this, I think it shows them that elevated side of, to where so much thought goes into it. And it's not just, when I do a dish and people look at it and go, oh, that's tiny, where's the food? Like, it's like, dude, there's plenty there, and plus we're going to do 6 courses, it's like, you're going to be okay. You're not going to miss your carbs and your fat. Like, you're going to be all right. But it's really good representation of what it takes to do something truly special with food, when the special aspect of food is really taken for granted a lot.
Yeah.
Well, because your restaurant, you don't do like orders, right? Like, you make it your way, and that's just the way it is, correct?
Well, I mean, it's a la carte. You're ordering this, or we have some composed dishes that are on the menus. We've got a pretty good and diverse menu. But yeah, most, like, if you took my lamb dish and we're like, well, I want, the sea bass on the lamb set, or vice versa, or whatever, or substitute this or that, I'm gonna be like, yeah, no, order something else.
Good.
But requests that are, dietary restrictions or allergies, right, things like that, we work around all the time. Or temperatures, it's kind of, I mean, you see a lot of jokes going around about how chefs get pissed off if you order a mid-well or a well-done steak. And yeah, it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit, because I use really spectacular locally raised beef. But at the same time, who am I to tell somebody how they like their steak? So I always tell my chefs, if somebody comes in and orders a well-done steak, like, that's not something to be disrespected or laughed at, even though, like, we kind of frown on it. That's something that you need to take as a professional and go, all right, these people get clowned all the time for how they order their food. There's no doubt about that. But I want to give them if they want a well-done steak, I want it to be the best fucking well-done steak that they've ever eaten in their life. Like, it should still have some life to it. It's not something that you just disrespect. And, the old joke of throwing the crappiest steak that you have in the deep fryer and just letting it run through, there's none of that, so
I've had to do it, for people at home before that like them. And if you watch like MasterChef and some of those shows, it's actually a challenge. Like, make a well done steak. I know Gordon Ramsay does that. Like, hey, make me a mid-rare steak that's good, and you got to make me a well done steak that's actually still somewhat juicy and is made properly. And that's hard. And, most people don't. It's not something they're practicing. Like, yeah, man, I got to get my burnt steak done right.
You have to. I mean, and that's a big part of it. Is a lot of people, when they're doing well dones, they're overcooking the outside, so they're charring up the outside and they're making it bitter and flavorless, and grossly overcooking, the edges around the center, and and they're just not they're just hammering, and it's kind of a pass for them. And but no, there's ways to cook. I mean, there's a lot of people that can't eat their steaks expecting mothers, people with immune disorders, things like that. Like, they have to make it good. I mean, it's no matter what, just make it absolutely perfect.
I want to go like sometime. I want to have somebody that only likes well done steaks make me one and see what they think it should be like. 'Cause like Scotty, we're talking about Scotty likes. I remember that likes well done steaks. Gary Hughes.
Scotty, one leg?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember going to the restaurant with him. He likes. I don't know if it was well done, but definitely
Done.
done. Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine that little Viking wanting a well done steak.
Maybe he's changed now. Maybe because hell, when I was younger, my dad always make medium well steaks, and then everybody, I think the perception of how a steak should be made has changed a lot in the mainstream over the last 20, 30 years. And now we're all eating medium rare steak, except for my mom. She won't do that. But I remember when I growing up, like I didn't like steak because it was overcooked. And I was like, oh man, this is not great. Now my dad makes a great steak. I think I make a pretty good steak. But I think that at least in my family, the perception's changed over the last few years on what it means to cook a good steak,
Well, and there's so much better quality available now. I mean, when you get into people that, the growth of the small independent farmer as opposed to, commodity grade meats, just that step alone is, it lends itself to cooking more gently, into that medium rare or, that elusive mid rare plus. Just that quality in raising that animal, in the finishing process and all that, as opposed to, the commercial big box stuff that, is most grocery stores are loaded with just the big corporate feedlot beef. But you can find some boutique kind of stores, like HEB has great local stuff. We've got a couple of meat markets up here that have some great local stuff. So really paying attention to where your ingredients come from. I mean, to me, the higher the quality, the less you need to cook it. I'm not a rare guy by any means, but it's certainly beef that you can enjoy more towards the rare side.
Oh yeah, no, you can definitely cook a better quality steak, medium rare. I had somebody give me a bunch of like bison steaks, and I had to marinate them because if not, they're just tough as shit. I was like, what do I do with this? Because if I cook a medium rare, it was not
You weren't going to
great.
get through it.
Yeah.
Having fake teeth don't help, so.
At least you have teeth now.
I mean, I do have teeth now, you're right. It ain't wrong.
As you call George Washington.
They're white as hell, too.
Pulling them out of wood.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
how they feel, but they look great, so it's all right.
I think that was your wedding gift, right, from the future wife?
No, that was my wedding gift to her. That was the Army put your teeth back in wrong. Let's get those fixed for the wedding photos. Okay.
It might have been a requirement for the wedding, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you've seen my wife. She's a smoke show. I don't blame her.
Yeah, I remember that. You're like, yeah, Portia made me replace my teeth.
Yeah.
Look good though. They're good teeth.
You grew up with military dentists and stuff like that. Like all 6 of these are redone. It's amazing the things you spend money on when you're a grown ass adult. It's like, you got a beautiful smile. It's like, oh, that's about 10 grand.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, living on Mountain Dew, Rip It and Dip was probably not the greatest thing for my jawline.
Dude, you're lucky you have a jaw if all you drink is Mountain Dew.
I mean, had to stay awake somehow.
Remember, we used to get our Cerakote done at Hill Country Black Rifle, I think it's called. There's a shop here in town. Like when we first started, we didn't do it ourselves. And I remember the guy made, he's a good dude. He made lightsabers on the side, like really high end, like $400 or $500 lightsabers. So they had like some guy came in that was like dressed like a Jedi and almost had no teeth. And so I asked him later, I'm like, what's that guy's deal? Like, obviously he has plenty of money. He's at like $3,000 lightsabers. Like, like he's got to be doing pretty well. And he's like, oh, he's like IT. And he just sits at home all day and drinks like a 3 liter of Mountain Dew every day and types on his computer in his Jedi robe. And his teeth are gone.
If that dude's happy, he's happy. Who cares?
He's living his life.
Yeah.
I was living in Portland where people are dressing up like dogs and shitting on the street.
Matt, was that?
I think Matt. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
And we kind of called them like they were like the Merry and Pippin brothers. It was Matt and God, what's the other guy's name? I can't remember. They were good dudes though.
I don't know if they're still there or not. I don't think they are that I'm aware. I was over on Thousand Oaks. I don't remember if they're there or not.
Yeah, that's I see him pop up on my Facebook every once in a while. I think he's just a grown ass adult now, like with a nice house and a wife and living a normal life. But yeah, I remember the old gun show days.
Yeah,
you guys and them around their booth right around the corner from it.
That's right. Yeah, they did go to the gun show. That's probably how we met them. Yeah, going to the gun show is one thing. Working the gun show, I mean, it's just like working for the fucking carnival. I mean, there's some bigger companies that go to gun shows, but for the most part, like there's some, you got some really cool collectors that really know their shit that are fun to talk to. And then you just got some fucking weirdos, you know, that are just, they shouldn't let you out.
Or the guy who shows up at a plate carrier.
The next 3 days, like I said, I'll be headed out of here, and then, you know, we're setting up the booth at that Outdoors Expo out here in Tyler that's going on this weekend. And so I'll be riding a booth for 3 days. So still doing it here.
Well, dude, man, we'll let you get to it, and we appreciate you being on, and appreciate my guest co-host. We'll have to have Mike on for his own episode and just let him. Most of the stuff your stories you can't even tell in a public forum. So
you're not wrong.
Yeah, you've got some great stories.
If me and him went down a rabbit hole, we'd probably get in some trouble.
Yeah, that's like sitting around with Kyle chugging whiskey and telling the actual stories that are not fit for air.
Eating some medium rare steaks. Well, I don't know. Let's plan that. We've been talking about it for 3 years.
Me and him need to come up, and I'll bring him up to your restaurant because I want to come back. That was a damn good meal.
I mean, I wore this shirt in your honor, so
love it.
So if you're listeners, if you're anywhere near, I think that's, this is like our 17th episode. I think it's the first time I've called the people listening listeners, but like I'm on the radio now. For our listeners, we'll go check out Chef Lance over here. If you're in the Tyler area, definitely go to Culture ETX. It is an amazing meal. And there's a really cool, the bar, the Platter Rabbit in the back's fucking cool. And if you've seen his rabbit bowl, there's a reward.
That's right.
We'll chip into the reward too. We'll give you something.
Gunworks condoms.
Yeah. Or the condoms. Yes. If you can bring the rabbit bowl back full of our condoms, man.
You'd be a god.
Yeah. You would definitely. We'll put you on a podcast.
There we go. Yes. Love it.
Hey, Lance, thanks, man. It was good to see you.
Yeah, brother. Thank y'all too. It was great to be on, and we'll come down and visit y'all soon too.
Yeah,
definitely.
Let me know, man. That'd be awesome.
Hell yeah.
All right, brother.
Later.
Thanks for joining us today right here at the Liberty Tree Studio. But be sure to visit us at solgw.com for hard use blasters, badass swag, and much, much more.